Hi friends, today I am going to review the book, Hardcore Management: What You Won't Learn from the Business Gurus by Jo Owen. Everything you know is wrong. Management isn't what it used to be. It used to be all about boring meetings, politics, low technology, confusion and inefficiency. Now, thanks to 2 decades of re-engineering, research and refitting, management is lean, wired, nimble, informed, intelligent, responsive and flexible. In short, like the children and radio host Garrison Keillor's fictitious hometown, Lake Wobegon, every manager is above average. Try to focus on users, behavior and values instead of buyers, features and attitudes. Right. You know better. Everyone working in business has probably had a bellyful of the cant about customer focus, competitiveness, technology and change. Despite all of the pious orthodoxies, vision and mission statements, business is still by and large a matter of boring meetings, nasty politics and inefficiency. It's not low-tech anymore. But, far from being a cure, technology has often proven to be a curse. Managers operating in a low-technology environment had a healthy skepticism about what they knew and what they could do. Managers equipped with high technology are like teenagers behind the wheel of a performance car, too confident, too powerful, too excited and dead wrong. There are 3 roads to ruin: drink, drugs and believing financial numbers. In fact, progress has made business a lot tougher than it used to be, a lot more confusing and a lot more dangerous. Progress has made it possible to make more mistakes. Instead of walking down the hallway to waste time in boring meetings, executives fly for hours to waste time in boring meetings. In the past, managers had to write letters or memos that made their point in 1 page. Now, managers spend days working on 60-slide PowerPoint presentations that leave their viewers confused. Managers using numbers too often create complexity out of clarity. Analytical software makes it possible to drill down to the budget details and present numerous scenarios, but you can't see the forest for the trees. Numerous performance measures, metrics and tools allow you to check every dimension of an employee's performance, but the calculations leave little room for trust and less for delegation. When blunders, misunderstandings and failures leave you confused, you might call in consultants, who may be equally confused, may disagree with each other, may not know your business and probably won't help you do more than spend money on consulting fees. The problem is that the more we can do, the more we are expected to do. In sum, managers today operate under the influence of 3 deadly delusions. Managers know what they're doing. In fact, most business managers haven't the slightest idea what they're doing. That is, they don't know what customers really think, they don't know what's really going on in their own organizations, they don't know how bad their information is and they don't know how little they control. Managers know where their businesses are headed. Most predictions and forecasts make one stupendously wrong assumption, namely that past trends will continue. Extrapolating past trends into the future is easy, but wrong-headed. Industry leaders don't tend to innovate, and those who don't innovate won't lead in the future. Managers know the best way to get where they're going, or, at least, they know a good way. Because most managers don't have the slightest idea what they are doing or where they are going, it's quite ludicrous to imagine that they know the best way to get from where they are to where they think they want to be. Persuading management to act on market research is not easy, and with good reason. The biggest contemporary management challenge isn't the quest for excellence, it's the quest for competence. The market, the customer is always confusing. Managers have 10 widespread misunderstandings about customers. Asking customers is the best way to learn what they want. In fact, customers usually don't understand what they want. People did not know they wanted Sony Walkman machines until Sony brought them to market. People did not know they wanted a $3 cup of coffee until Starbucks came onto the scene. Innovators lead customers. They don't follow customers. Customer feedback is honest and reliable. Customers are usually too nice and polite to tell the frank, blunt and unpleasant truth. Feedback ratings tend to make businesses seem better than they are. Customers can, and very well may, rate your performance highly and take their business elsewhere. Watch what they do, not what they say. Learning and acting on data about customer attitudes is important. Closely related to the previous fallacy, this myth can be deadly. One retailer dug into the research about customer attitudes and discovered that customers bought electronics on the basis of price, quality, and features. So the retailer cut prices and promptly lost money. Dispensing with the attitudinal research, the retailer's managers started asking customers questions as they came out of the store. They discovered that customers really wanted a special reason to buy at that store rather than elsewhere. In short, customers wanted a story to tell that would make their purchases look savvy. The market's rationale is rational and business uses it rationally. This usually represents a naive misunderstanding of how business really works. Market research data, like all data, is never really objective or disinterested. People present data to make a point, to persuade, to influence, and to direct. So, if you are trying to influence management, use market data as your weapon. Use dull old methodologies if your superiors trust those methodologies, or excite their emotions, or rely on political manipulation. Do whatever works to meet your objective. Vendors want a customer relationship and the customer wants a relationship, too, a laughable proposition. Most customers don't want a relationship with a vendor. They want to get in and out of the store with something that works. Business focuses on the customer. Most businesses don't pay attention to customers. They set up performance metrics that measure everything but customer focus. Only a few astoundingly successful businesses, such companies as Walmart and Dell, really focus on the customer. The rest have other priorities. Companies have internal and external customers. Businesses that spout this line usually ignore the external customer, because the internal customer is always more demanding and more in your face than the ultimate, external customer. Satisfying the customer is good for business. In fact, your customer may be a competitor, as in the case of a brand name food maker who distributes through a retail chain that also sells its own house brand. What then? Or what if your customer is an intermediary whose biggest fear is that you will cut out the middleman and go directly to the ultimate customer, the one whose decisions really matter in the long run? The person who buys your product is the customer. This fallacy confuses the channel of distribution with the user of the product. As in the case of the middleman mentioned above, the buyer of your product might be a suspicious, hostile, potential competitor. Customers are people, too, not necessarily. Customers may be organizations, social networks, or other entities that don't think, act, or respond as individual persons. Managers, math, and real control. Managing a company is a matter of knowing the numbers and controlling the operations. But most business managers are incapable of either knowing the numbers or controlling the operations. Here's why. The numbers. As far as the numbers are concerned, hardly anyone really understands what financial numbers mean. In actuality, accounting standards represent an arcane code, something like the stone friezes of a lost city whose language no one but a few scholarly, ancient eccentrics even pretends to understand. Although the stakes are very high, hardly anyone really understands the numbers, so financial statements are usually mechanisms for manipulation. They are generally rhetorical rather than expository in their intention and their effect. Companies capitalize expenses, stuff channels, window dress, inflate sales, and generally do anything they can get away with to make the numbers. When investors are euphoric, they cheer the number jugglers. When investors are skeptical, they discredit even the most scrupulously honest financial reporting. We like to think we are in control of our own fate. Numbers don't lie, but people forget that there is a rhetoric of numbers. Because business operates in a cult of pseudoscience and quasi-reason, managers like to use numbers to justify actions and decisions that are, at bottom, emotional, political, or otherwise irrational. Your lesson: always approach numbers with skepticism and inquire about the agenda of the person or organization preparing and presenting the numbers. Control. Managers never have control, although they find it comforting and even energizing to suppose that they do. Mid-level managers who complain that they have responsibility but no authority are absolutely right. The secret is that everyone in business is in the same situation. Even the CEO has far less power than you might think. The turnover among CEOs has risen in recent years as boards of directors chuck the top guys out in order to bring in new top guys who are more impressive. We need to learn what works in our business with our boss and our customers. At every level of business, persuasion, influence, and political skill make the difference between success and failure. Everyone depends on somebody. As the old rock song went, everyone needs somebody to lean on. Unfortunately, the management fashions of the past decade or so obscured and ignored this fact. Try to find the 5-year plan for your business 5 years ago. Remember flat organizations? What about e-business? Although there may have been a kernel of truth behind the hype that drove these fads, that kernel soon fell away and got left behind. Information is not a path to power. Not when there is so much information that no one really understands anything anymore. Chaos, confusion, and blind groping are not uniquely low-tech. Management isn't what you think. Business schools don't teach management, and most organizations don't practice it, at least not very well. In fact, survival and prosperity in the contemporary workplace are not about doing things particularly well or doing things particularly right. The path to financial security and career eminence is to do what the situation and the organization demand. No one is in control of his or her destiny. Everyone is basically a creature of his or her past. Few people manage to switch, for example, from human resources management to financial management, or from financial management to sales, even in the same organization. Change is extremely hard, and dramatic change is extremely rare. Dramatic change is also very risky. Look at all of the organizations that expected to transform themselves into new kinds of businesses thanks to the internet. Most of them merely wasted enormous sums of money. Some of them went bust altogether. Modern management is dying. To be effective, change should be modest and incremental. The most effective managers are skeptical and cautious. They don't exaggerate their knowledge, their control, or their ability to influence events. They take few, if any, big risks. Managers who have survived and thrived didn't try to turn their businesses into e-businesses, and they didn't shower stock options on their staff members in the hope of turning every employee into an entrepreneur. They questioned each trend, and often went in a direction precisely opposite the paths suggested by fashionable wisdom. Sometimes, without really striving to change anything, just by trying to do things a bit better, they wound up changing the rules and structure of their markets. Takeaways. Get a clue. Management is not in control and never will be. Your customers don't know what they want, you have to lead them. Your customer feedback probably makes you seem better than you are. Customers are too polite to tell you the truth. The customer is not the buyer of your product but the user. The buyer may be your competitor. Numbers are easy to manipulate. Numbers tell a story. Understand the agenda of the person or organization that prepared them. Then you can understand the numbers. But don't trust them. Technology is dangerous precisely because it reinforces the illusion of control. Meetings are usually a waste of time. Monitor meeting productivity. Technical skill is only really important at the entry level. People skills make the difference at higher levels. It's not what you know, it's who you use. Change is risky. No change is riskier. The wrong change is riskiest. And people don't change. Logic doesn't make sense in business. If you enjoy our content and would like to stay updated with our latest videos, please like, share, and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much for watching.